What's up, everybody? The Legend of W is back in Chrono Cross, the Radical Dreamers edition. So, in the last video, I went through the beginning of the Radical Dreamers storyline. So, if you haven't seen the last video, make sure to go ahead and check it out. Now, I'm back in this corridor. Well, let me just review what happened here. We went down the stairs and continued straight ahead, eventually coming across a sturdy-looking door on our right, which we ignore, obviously, because we can't open it. So we continued on. We continued on the corridor, eventually coming across a door on our left. The corridor continued on back toward the terrace. That's right, we continued on because we ignore that door. After a short walk down the corridor, the terrace came into view. We kept following the corridor. We went out onto the terrace. We kept following the corridor. I think that's what we're supposed to do. We took the corridor leading from the left-handed side of the terrace, eventually arriving at an intersection with some stairs. Let me just raise the volume because it feels like it's so low. All right. The path to the right led down the stairs. The path to the left was a dark side passage, and the main corridor continued straight onward. Let's go down the stairs first, since it's the first choice. Slowly, we crept down the staircase, descending deeper into the blackness as we went. At the bottom, the path split. The way to the left continued on to an atrium that resembled a sort of plaza, while the path to the right was a winding passageway that trailed off into darkness. Oh boy. We took the passageway to the right. Let's try that. We went down the stairs, then took the passage to our right. Eventually, we came across an ornate door on the right-handed side. Okay. Something smelled fresh and pleasant. Flowers? Was it coming from inside? We went inside. Ooh, it opened. Oh boy. We found ourselves in a tidy, welcoming room. The knickknacks and curios dotted around the place seemed to be well loved. The stately desk and the cozy-looking bed nearby, meanwhile, suggested the room's occupant was no stranger to luxury. Though the room was richly furnished, somehow it still felt awfully lonely. Kid took a quick look around before commenting. "It's Lynx's girl's room." A half-written letter on the desk and a teacup, still warm, suggested that the lady of the manor was still nearby. But it didn't seem that anyone was here now. We decided to search the room. Some charming flowers. Oh, who's walking there? A discarded cotton handkerchief, a small bottle of perfume. Okay, so it's just the crew. I got a little creeped out for nothing. Nothing that meant much to me, nor anything that seemed particularly valuable. Kids seemed to have the same impression and scanned the room clearly, not expecting to find anything. The only item of note was a small antique box, which bore a crest resembling a viper. I decided where to look next. I picked up the little box. I picked up the small wooden box on the bookshelf. I gently opened the lid and was greeted by a soothing melody. A music box? There was something about that song. I don't know, let me know what you think. I know this tune. Kid was standing next to me, and I could see something had changed in her expression. You do, huh, kid? Someone used to sing it to me a long time ago. She turned her gaze downward and went silent. Kid? Startled, she turned to me. Her eyelashes glistened, as if wet with dew. She walked to the door, not saying a word. Hey, kid, wait up! We left the room. Was she crying? Was Kid crying? Maybe I was just seeing things. Damn, I still want to go. I want to go back to the room, though. The passage outside the room continued to our left and right. The path to the right led deeper into the darkness of the manor. Meanwhile, going left would take us to the atrium and another branch. Let's continue down the darkness. We went down the dark passageway, eventually finding ourselves at a sturdy-looking, immaculately polished door. Same door. Kid sniffed at the air. Just as I thought, something stinks here. I reckon we found the beast's lair, lads. In the darkness, Kid's lips twisted into a grin that turned my blood cold. We went inside. Kid opened the door and slipped inside. Oh boy, here we go. We're gonna have a big fight, right? It was Lynx's room, but he didn't seem to be around. The bugger's gone and scarped cause he heard I was coming. There was something deeply unpleasant about the room. There wasn't anything unusual about the furniture and fittings. Not how they looked or how they were made, but taken as a whole, it felt discordant. Was this a reflection of Lynx? A seemingly ordinary facade that hid a disturbing truth only some could see. Right, I bet we'll find the key to the vault in here, or a clue about where to find it. I started searching through the room. The desk drawers, the paintings on the wall, the vase on top of the side table. I left no stone unturned. There didn't seem to be anything suspicious. But as I scanned the room, something unusual caught my eye. There was a pedestal in one corner with a significant-looking scarlet cloth drawn over it. I slowly raised my hand toward it. I carefully pulled the cloth away, revealing a mirror. Okay. It was old-fashioned and of an elaborately decorated style I'd seen before, and in it was reflected a statue of Venus. Suddenly, the eyes of the statue shone with light. Hey, what? It speaks. What is your desire? Oh God. The mirror! It's speaking! Kid and Magil ran to my side. There's no need for panic. It's a whispering mirror. Nothing more, said Magil flatly. Okay. What's one of those? A magical mirror in which a spirit dwells. The spirit can freely move between its own and other mirrors, and will share its wisdom with those who ask. Interesting. What should I ask it? Let's see, I asked it where the key to the vault was. We asked where Lynx was. The key. Do you know where the key to the vault is? The mirror's reflection rippled and changed to reveal a room with numerous bookshelves. Huh. Okay. A deep, sonorous voice spoke. You will find the key in the place I have revealed, the study. It is inside a book with a purple cover in the furthest bookshelf from the door. Okay, I gotta remember that. The image of the study vanished from the mirror, and the voice went silent. It appears the spirit has left for another mirror, commented Magil. To the study, then. As I made to leave the room, a low voice rumbled through the air, stopping me dead in my tracks. Beware. He knows. Was it the voice of the mirror again? What did it mean? Hurry up, or we're leaving you behind, Densetsu called Kid from outside. Flustered, I rushed after her. The passage outside the room continued to our left and right. Going right would take us to Lynx's room. Meanwhile, going left would take us to the atrium and another branch. Okay, so let's go back to the left toward the atrium. Atrium, I think is what I'm supposed to say. We continued down the corridor until we reached an intersection. There was a left turn in the corridor leading to some stairs going upward. The corridor also continued straight on toward the entrance to a large plaza-like atrium. Let's go to the atrium. Kid poked her head through the arc-shaped door and took a look around. Huh, it's big in here. Must be some kind of hall. We took a cautious look around, then entered, one after another. Oh boy. The atrium was like a beautiful plaza, complete with a statue that doubled as a fountain. Pillars and arcs lined the walls, and in the center was a small pool of clear water above which the statue stood. On the other side of the room, I could see another arched entrance like the one we had come through. Oh, that's cold! Kid was scooping up water from the fountain. Sorry, I kind of just scooping up. I went over to her and resting my hand on the edge of the marble basin, I think that's how you say it, peered into the pool beneath. Shadows flickered under the water's surface. You reckon those fish are rare? As in valuable? Kid leaned over the edge. I couldn't see the bottom. I wondered how deep it was. The shadow of one of the fish grew larger and larger. Whoa! Sensing danger, Kid leapt back from the edge. Clack! A fish leaped out from the water and snapped at her, its jaws bristling with razor-sharp teeth. Oh, that's scary. Its mouth closed shut in the air when where she'd been only moments before, and with a splash, the fish darted back under the water. Piranodons, deadly carnivorous fish with razor-sharp teeth and powerful jaws that could snap a monster's horn in half. Oof. Staring in horror, I watched as dark shadows began to gather in what little of the pool I could make out. The Piranodons must have detected prey. Soon, the room was filled with the sound of splashing and snapping as the fish teemed at the water's surface. Oh god. Bloody hell. Even Kid was uneasy. She took another step back. Yeah. How many Piranodons were in the pool? The thought of what would happen if they all leapt clear of the water and attacked at once crossed my mind. A bead of cold sweat rolled down my forehead. Yeah. Just leave. Suddenly, the water coming from the statue turned crimson and shot out in a powerful jet that nearly touched the ceiling. Oh god. Kid jumped back again. I just stood in shock, watching the torrent of water erupting from the statue. The scarlet waters continued to gush out from the fountain. The pool grew redder and redder and started to overflow. We looked on, entranced, or I don't know. But the spell was soon broken when we realized that the water was starting to flow faster and faster over the rim of the basin. The Piranodons began to jump and snap at the water's surface with bloodthirsty glee. I was brought to my senses by the dull slapping sound of Piranodons hitting the floor. Yeah, we rushed to the exit on the other side. Quick, there's an exit on the other side. I pointed it at the doorway opposite of where we come in. I tried my hardest to rush across the red pool, sending up great gouts of crimson water, but it was as thick as blood, and I found myself struggling to move. I felt sharp jabs of searing pain as countless Piranodons snapped at my legs. Kid gritted her teeth in pain. Densetsu, we gotta do something before we get turned into mincemeat. What was I going to do? Rush to the exit, rush back the way we came, deal with the fish. What? You want to try and pick this little lot off one by one? Kid glared back at me, her face a picture of exasperated disbelief. Oh, don't be a bloody idiot, Densetsu. We're gonna. You want to die here? While I stood there, my mouth agape, a Piranodon sank its teeth into my foot. Ooh, a jolt of pain surged up my leg, making me jump. What was I going to do? Okay, rush to the exit on the other side. Oh, we have to get to the other side. We desperately tried to wade toward the exit opposite us. The water was already up to my waist. A strange smell like warm meat rose from the water's surface. Oh god. I yelped as my left thigh and my right ankle simultaneously erupted with pain. It was still a long way to the exit on the opposite side. What was I going to do? Rush back the way we came? Kid, let's get out of here. In a panic, we splashed through the water back to the corridor we came from. The fangs of the pteranodon snapped at my legs, and I felt a searing pain, but I had to endure it if I had any hope of reaching the entrance. Breathing heavily, I finally found myself back in the corridor outside. Wow, it was a death trap. Jesus. I think I hurt myself too much. Oof, that was a close call. So that whole thing was a trap, eh? Talk about twisted. Lynx is even more of a sick bastard than I thought. I was about to say he wouldn't have to be if he didn't have to guard against people like her breaking into this home. But I thought better of it. Well, at any rate, I think we can consider that a dead end. Let's go back. Defeated, we left the atrium. Something caused Kid to stop in her tracks. Hello? Hello? What do we have here? She pointed to the side of the entranceway to the hall. I found myself face to face with a sculpture of an old man's face with a truly phenomenal beard. Oh, the sculpture's eyes seemed to gleam with life. For a piece of marble, it seemed almost too realistic. It's a mouth of truth, announced Magil. An enchanted statue that can tell when you're lying. If it catches you out, it'll bite your hand off. Eee. Magil kept his explanation simple so that Kid wouldn't drift off before he got to the important part. Huh? So what's it doing here then? I suspect it's part of a greater mechanism. Stick your hand in its gob, do ya? Righto. Let's see what happens, shall we? Oh God, my bad. I skipped. I hit the button by accident. She stood there for a moment, waiting, but it didn't take long for her to get bored. Huh. Nothing. Suddenly, I had an idea. Hey kid, who's the greatest thief who ever lived? Ha! Me, of course. You drunk. Kid answered without a moment's hesitation, and then suddenly, her face twisted with pain. The teeth of the marble sculpture had clamped down on her hand. It bit me, she cried. Knock it off. Everyone knows it's the truth. Ow! The sculpture bit her again as soon as she spoke. Grr, you little... A cold sweat formed on Kid's forehead. The sculpture was tightening its grip. It won't let me go until you say... Oh, it won't let me go until you say something true. Despite the obvious urgency of the situation, Magil was matter-of-fact as ever. Just say anything, kid. Anything, as long as it's the truth. Obviously, Kid wasn't listening. Instead, she just kicked awkwardly at the statue. That's weird. Oi, Beardy! Let go of me bloody hand! She planted her feet either side of its mouth and tried her hardest to pull herself out. She heaved, kicked, and stamped, grunted, and strained. And then, finally, her hand popped free. I was taken aback by what I just witnessed and couldn't say a word. See? Told you it was the truth! Kid raised her hand in the air triumphantly, as if to demonstrate. I could see heavy bite marks. The sculpture hadn't come away from the struggle unscathed either. Kid's attempt to break free had left it cracked in several places. Magil pointed silently at part of it. I went to take a closer look and saw a pale flesh-colored tongue. I expect we're supposed to put something there, commented Magil. Something? What exactly? I replied. Kid stood there for a moment, lost in thought, and then she started to unload all the knickknacks she'd been carrying. It was a strange collection of odds and ends, pulled from her pockets, her boots, and even from her braid. Alright, Densetsu, now it's your turn to have a go at that stupid statue. Kid grinned at me, holding her assortment of knickknacks out on the palms of both hands. I guess she decided that whatever further horrors the statue had in store, she'd rather not face them herself. Nice kid. Real nice. Grumbling to myself, I reached out to pick an item. I chose small silver mirror, a file, a centipede, a tube of lipstick, some dried grapes, a length of fine thread, a sizable petrard, a vellum scroll. A vellum scroll. Let's try that one. I picked up the peculiar piece of parchment. Bracing myself, I shoved it into the mouth of truth. Haha! Nice one, Mr. Master Thief. You think it's a magic scroll or something? Kid doubled over with laughter. Guess that didn't work. With a sheepish chuckle, I pulled it out again. Oops! My hand slipped and the scroll unfurled. It was filled with strange symbols. Noticing the confused look on my face, Magil spoke up. It's a decoding chart used for the Imperial Guard's field reports. Huh? Well, it's all gibberish to me. Wouldn't be much of a code if it wasn't, would it? Kid muttered witheringly. I was too embarrassed to reply. Once I clawed back some of my pride, I attempted a recovery. You'll have to walk me through it sometime. She just pouted and looked away. Oh, so you can't read it either? Boy, can I pick up my moments? Fine. If you're not gonna take this seriously, we're leaving you behind. Sometimes she could be cold as ice. I'd really done it now. She made to leave, but I grabbed her gently by the shoulder. Look, I'm not messing around. I'm sure this next idea is going to work. I'll believe it when I bloody well see it. Kid didn't seem convinced. The stakes were high. I looked again at her collection of knickknacks and chose. Damn, I don't know. I get the feeling a centipede might be it. It's either dried grapes or a centipede. I don't know. Let's try a centipede, because I don't know. The statue's creepy. Oh, that is just... What are you doing walking around with a centipede in your pockets? I reeled back in disgust. This isn't your pet or something, is it? Don't be thick, Densetsu. It's a toy, not a pet. A toy? You could have picked something nicer. It is nice. Nice for giving people nasty surprises. She seemed to think this was an entirely reasonable attitude. Entirely reasonable to her, maybe. What was she doing with all this stuff? I reached for the rubber centipede. Trying not to think too hard about what I was doing, I stuck it into the mouth of truth, only for it to fall down the back of its throat. Densetsu, you'll pay for this, growled Kid, staring daggers at me. Yikes! I'll get it back, I promise! Stealing my nerve, I reached into the mouth of truth. Suddenly, my hair stood on end. It was licking my hand. The giant, uncanny tongue slopped back and forth across my fingers, like I was a lollipop. Oh god. Ugh! I'm gonna puke! Keep it together, Densetsu! Do it for the centipede! Kid's support didn't do much to help me, but I somehow managed to pinch the centipede with the tips of my fingers and pull it out. You must really love this thing. Ah, not really. I just hate to see stuff go to waste. Sorry, what? Why had I even bothered? Well, no luck there either. Want to try something else? Asked Kid, almost like this was a game. I just wanted this to be over with. I reached out for the next item and chose. Huh. Okay, so it's not a vellum scroll nor the centipede. Then I guess it has to be some dried grapes. I mean, well, let's try grapes. I took a small bag of dried grapes. One by one, I fed them into the sculpture's marble maw. Munch, munch. Ugh, it actually ate them. That's enough, Densetsu! Those are my emergency rations you're wasting! Kid snatched the bag from my hands. I still had the last grape though, so I popped it into my mouth. It was absolutely delicious. They're not for you either, Sunshine, growled Kid, glaring at me. You gotta take this seriously, Densetsu, or should I leave you alone with Beardy here? She was clearly annoyed, but I hadn't worn her patience completely thin just yet. I decided to try something else. Oh boy, I chose... Okay, let's try the first one. A small silver mirror. I took the small silver mirror. The sculpture stared impassively, its marble beard still commanding my attention. I stuffed the mirror into its mouth. It didn't seem to be the right item for the job. Don't see any cavities. Yeah, very funny. Now give me my favorite mirror back before that thing chomps it to pieces. She lost her patience and snatched it off me. It was a rather nice mirror. I pictured her gazing into it as she braided her hair. Do you want to try something else? Asked Magil dryly. I chose... Okay, a sizable petard. I picked up the sizable petard. Anxiously, I shoved it inside of the mouth of truth, but nothing happened. Let the professionals handle this, Densetsu. Kid shoved me aside. She was holding a match. Wait a second! You can't be serious! All the blood drained from my face. Deadly serious, mate. Before I could say another word, Kid lit the fuse. Oh boy. An explosion followed, accompanied by a puff of white smoke. When the smoke had cleared, the mouth of truth came into view once more, still intact, but now very badly cracked indeed. Not quite enough oomph to knock this block off, eh? Should have bought a bigger one. Kid stood there with her arms folded, calmly commenting on the mayhem she had just caused. What do you think you're doing? I can't believe you just set that thing off like that. Kid shot me a look. What do you mean? What else are you gonna do with a bomb? She was a complete and utter liability. Well, any more ideas, Densetsu? Asked Kid breezily. So I chose... Jesus, what do I gotta pick? If it's not a vellum scroll, not a petard, a length of fine thread? I don't know about that. Maybe a file. I took the file and placed it inside the mouth of the marble sculpture. It didn't seem to be the right item for the job. Crunch, crunch, crunch. I was stunned. The mouth of truth had started chewing on the file. It was eating it. Ugh! Kid screamed with rage. Me file! Me lovely scratchy scrappy file! I can't believe you let that happen! Crunch! You're in big trouble now, mate. She was clenching her fists and trembling with fury. Sorry! I'll get you another one, I promise. I also wanted to add, just don't hit me, but thought better of it. I'll hold you to that, muttered Kid in a threatening grumble. If you're gonna feed that statue all me stuff, we're done here. I promise that's not what I'm trying to do. You better bloody not be, mate. Once again, she showed me her collection. I chose. Wow, she can tolerate a lot. Okay, so not a file, not a centipede. We only have lipstick and the thread. A length of fine thread. I took the piece of thread. A length of very finely spun silk. It didn't seem like a good idea to just shove it in, so I tried dangling it into the statue's mouth. Watch yourself. That stuff ain't cheap. It's made by royal silkworms. I'll have you know. Kid watched me critically. The thread slipped deeper and deeper into the mouth of truth, and then I felt a slight tug. I tried winding it winding it carefully back around my finger. At the end of it was a small piece of paper. Nice one, Densetsu. That's gotta be a clue. Kid's eyes lit up with delight. The note says, try again. We stood in stunned silence. You licky tricky piece of... Gah! Kid ripped up the paper in a rage and threw it away, then started kicking the mouth of truth. Magil was leaning against the wall, watching the spectacle in silence. I'm guessing that wasn't the one then. What's next? I chose... I mean, we only have one more item here. We chose everything except a tube of lipstick. I picked up the small lacquered tube of lipstick, and without knowing quite why, smearing it all over the statue's mouth. What are you... Me lippy! Kid exploded with fury at the sight of the mouth of Truth's bright red lips. What are you getting so mad about? You don't even wear makeup. It's for marking our path to make sure we don't get lost. Huh? I didn't realize. Guess that would explain why you brought it with you. And what exactly is that supposed to mean? What's so funny about me having lipstick anyhow? Nothing at all. It didn't take much to tell that this was the calm before the storm. You better buy me some more when we're done here. Yep, she was mad alright. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's just try something else. Kid gave me a doubting glare in response to my apology. Take this seriously or I'm through with you. I gulped and nodded in panic, then reached out for the next item. I mean, there's nothing else. What else can I do? I chose everything. To not waste my time on this. I lingered for a moment, but pulled my hand away. It didn't seem like any of them was what we were looking for. Alright, let's just forget about it for now, muttered Kid, stowing all her valuables. I was sure we'd find a use for this stuff. Whatever, best get moving, eh? Defeated, we left the atrium behind us. Damn, that sucks. Leading the group as usual, Kid suddenly stopped. What's that? She dabbed her finger at something in the darkness. Straining my eyes, I could see a pale white bundle of something shaking in the shadows. Huh? That's strange. I moved in front of Kid to try to get a better look. And then suddenly, the strange presence started crawling across the floor toward us at an unbelievable speed. I didn't have time to brace myself. The white figure reached my foot, then reared up to its full height. What in the world? It was a skeleton! Oh my god, that's scary. The skeleton and I stood face to face, its empty eye sockets staring straight at me, or seeming to at least. What was I going to do? Assess the situation. The skeleton stooped over and leered at me. I was stunned by the strangeness of the gaze coming from the two black pits of its skull. And then, it leapt at me before I could react. Ugh! I let out a scream. Its ribs loomed up in front of me. I shoved hard with both hands, desperately trying to loosen the firm hold it had taken on my head with both arms, and send it crashing to the ground. It clattered to the floor in a pile of jumbled bones. But then I noticed its head was nowhere to be seen. Densetsu! Your hood! I reached up with a start to find the skull had clamped into my hood with its teeth. What was I going to do? I grabbed it and tried to pull it off. I tore off my hood. Ugh! Panicked, I tried to pull off my hood, but my hands refused to cooperate, and I could only flap my hands at the skull uselessly. That was when I heard Magil snap at me. Stand still! Crack! My head exploded with stars as Magil's foot slammed the back of my head. I gasped, and for a moment, I thought I was going to pass out. The skull, meanwhile, shattered to pieces like an eggshell. Bits of broken bones scattered down from the top of my head. The rest of the skeleton froze mid-charge and fell apart. The bones lay motionless on the floor. And I guess we're okay. Nice one, Mag. Yeah, thanks. You didn't have to kick me in the head, though. We're finished here. Let's get moving. Ow. I was starting to feel a little worse for wear. I was going to have to be more careful from now on, or this was going to end badly. Well, that was another fine bloody mess. What did we even bring you what did we even bring you for, Densetsu? Kid's cold stare pierced through me like a javelin made of ice. Yeah. Leaving the atrium behind, we immediately found ourselves at a fork in the path. To the right was a passage to some stairs leading upward. Dark passage continued on directly ahead of where we stood. I think we just go back upstairs. The passage to the stairway was short. With Kid leading the way, we started to climb the narrow staircase. At the top, we found another intersection. Taking the corridor to the right would lead us to a dead end with a large door, while the way to the left led to the terrace. The narrow side passage in front of us was open. We took... let's go to the side passage. We headed down the side passage. At the end of it, we came to an old, immaculately polished door. We went inside. Kid gently pushed the door ajar, peeked into the room. The next thing I knew, she'd slip inside. Magil and I followed. Looks like a study. The room was lit by the moonlight coming through the long, slender windows, slanting down in a pale beams through the darkness. Okay, we're in the study where we need to be. Now to find the book. It was pretty big for a study, with an immaculate antique desk dominating the center. There were rows of bookshelves lined with thick, dusty old tomes. The wall to the rear of the room was decorated with paintings, and shelves of vases and painted plates stood before it. They all seemed to be curios from foreign lands. Right, let's find this key. Light on her feet, as always, Kid moved into the center of the room. Where'd the mirrors say it was again, Densetsu? She was asking me? How was I supposed to remember? The book with a blue cover in the near bookcase. Red cover near the bookcase. No, it's purple. Wait, hold on. The book with a purple cover in the near bookcase. I think it was... Damn, I actually forgot. I think it's the purple cover in the far bookcase. I think it was supposed to be the one with the purple cover in the furthest bookcase. Alright, let's see. Seeming to take my word for it, Kid made for the case in question. Right, this is the one. Purple cover, purple cover. Aha! This has gotta be it! Kid pulled out a book from the bottom shelf. Magil and I watched as she opened it. The pages were hollowed out, and hidden inside was an old key decorated with strange symbols. Nailed it! Nice one, Densetsu. Kid snatched the key from inside of the book. Right, time to finally get a look at this treasure. Having got what we came for, we left the study. As we made our way through the silence of the corridor, something cold landed on me from above. I put my hand up to my hair and felt a queasing-inducing sliminess. Ugh! Slugs! I lifted my head toward where it had come from, and a mass of disgusting creatures hit me full in the face. Blah! As fast as I could brush them off, more of them landed on me and around me. It was literally raining slugs. Before I knew it, they begun to pile up wetly around my feet. They crawled all over me, and I flailed and flapped as I tried to shake them loose. Quickly, back the way we came! But as we turned, we saw that the entire corridor was writhing mass of the creatures. It's like the floor's made of them! A shiver of revulsion ran down my spine. I ain't trampling over that little carpet, oh gross! Kid shook her head violently, clearly far from amused. But the more we stood there wondering what to do, the more they kept piling up. Okay, we were just going to have to charge through them. We're just going to have to pick our way through them. Let's charge. Yeah, I threw caution to the wind and myself down the teeming corridor. Like, what? Like that, is it? Well, I ain't staying here on me own. Kid was clearly at a loss as to what else to do, and she soon barreled after me. Slugs rained down around our ears as we ran. And oh, how we ran! We hammered along as if our lives depended on it. And as we went, the oozing juices of the slugs we trampled sprayed and splattered all over us. Our feet were soon soaked with the stuff. Whoa! My feet slipped and Kid smashed into me from behind. The two of us went flying and landed on the floor in a heap. Damn your clumsy arse, Densetsu. She grimaced at me through a mask of slug ooze. I tried to stand, but they just kept on falling. The slug storm had developed into a deluge. A deluge? A deluge or dulge? We were on the verge of giving up. It was almost more than either of us could take. There were up to our knees now, and we were wading through them, desperately trying to make some headway. We didn't dare talk for fear of them falling into our mouths. Damn. And there's no music too. I thought we'd be, like panic, panic. And as if we didn't have enough problems already, a single solid mass of slug matter suddenly reared up ahead of us. Ugh. Wait. It's people-shaped. And sure enough, a humanoid form had emerged, clutching what looked like an enormous scythe. Creepy. Oh, here we go. Oh my god. A scythe which suddenly came hurtling toward me. I threw myself to one side. I struck away with my knife. It was a demon, and it was swinging with enormous scythe right at me. It didn't let me decide. Damn, time. The razor-sharp blade caught my leg as it swished by me. I just about managed to jump out of the way, but I'd taken some damage in the process. I assumed a fighting stance and glared back at the demon. It was readying its scythe again. What was I going to do? I struck it, throw myself. The monster's scythe whooshed through the air toward me. I kept my body low and dodged to avoid the attack. But I must have telegraphed my move. The blade changed course at the last moment and sliced into my right shoulder. Densetsu! The pain was intense, but when I glanced at the wound, I can see that it wasn't as bad as I felt. What was this thing? Some kind of demon? If it is, look out. Demons love messing with people's heads. As soon as she said it, the writhing mass of slugs disappeared into thin air. The demon readied its scythe again and began inching toward us. What was I going to do? I waited to see. With my knife, I made a dash to one side of it, lifting my dagger as I went. It tore through the creature's paper-thin skin, but it was only a flesh wound. Bloody things laughing at us, and it was too, chuckling maniacally with a way that made me deeply uneasy. I raised my knife again and prepared myself for the worst. My eyes met the demons, and it was then that I saw it. There was a twinkle behind them. I couldn't tear my gaze away. Its chuckle grew with a belly laugh as it peered into the very depths of my soul. And then, just like that, it had muttered a few words and melted into the shadows. Where seconds before it had towered over us, now not a trace of it remained. What was that? What was all that about? Why would it just disappear mid-fight? Guess it had someplace else to be. Kid gave a shrug, doing her best to at least feign indifference. But I couldn't shake the sense of unease that had filled me, and peered uneasily at the darkness into which the vile creature had disappeared. Damn, that was creepy. Wait a second. What's that? There was a leather bag on the ground, containing some recently cooked meat. Lucky me! I bit into the meat without a moment's hesitation. After devouring the unexpected windfall, I felt a little better. Oi! Where's my share? Busted! I pretended not to hear. I was starting to feel a little worse for wear. I was going to have to be more careful from now on, or this was going to end badly. I think, because I've seen this message already. I think this means I have to be really careful with my decisions. If not, I'll die, and that's not a good thing. Well, that was another fine bloody mess. What did we even bring you? See, same message. Kid's cold stare pierced through me like a javelin made of ice. So this is where you've been hiding, Lynx, yelled Kid as she barged into the room. What? Is Lynx here? I followed after her, panicking. I looked around to see no one else but us. Where is he? Kid was just standing there, clearly not in any danger at all. It was a joke, idiot. Oh. Nice. All the strength drained from my body. Thought I was serious, did you? Chuckled Kid, trying not to laugh too hard. I bet you wish you were living the easy life rather than, tripsing around me, eh? Your face! I ignored her and walked over to the mirror draped with the red silk cloth. Hi there, sorry about all the noise. The statue of Venus in the mirror giggled back at me. Okay, haha. That's quite alright, Densetsu. What is your desire? Came her husky alto. Nothing much, just thought I'd check up on you since I was here. You mustn't say such things. Your friends will become envious, she giggled mischievously. You what? Said Kid, her voice completely flat. And why would I be envious? Please, there is no need to get upset. I have a gift for you. Oh yeah? Yes, well, one might call it that. You see, I thought you might be interested to see what is it like inside the mirror. Wait, so you're inviting us to the realm of mirrors? Kid's interest was suddenly piqued. It would take up much of your time, Kid. It won't take up much of your time. Come, Kid. Step inside. The surface of the mirror rippled like water. Kid reached out her hand and toward the glass, then hesitated. She deliberated for a moment before finally pulling it back. You go first, Densetsu. You're her favorite. Are you sure? Kid nodded, and filled with excitement, I pressed my hands into the mirror. The surface was like cool water on my fingertips. No, Densetsu, you mustn't! I mustn't? Oh god, am I dead? Suddenly, cracks formed in the glass. I gasped. What's happening? The statue in the mirror was weeping. I wish you weren't so trusting. You forget that I serve Lynx. What? I blurted out. I meant to trap you and your friends. The cracks in the mirror grew bigger, splintering off into more and smaller cracks. And that is not all. I foresaw your coming long ago and warned the Lynx of it. But why? You were imprisoned here by Lynx, weren't you? Sighed Magil. The statue of Venus nodded mournfully. He sealed the path to mirrors beyond, preventing me from leaving the manor. Were someone to shatter all the mirrors within the manor's walls, I would be doomed. I would vanish, separated from my siblings forever. Eventually, the statue raised its head, but I cannot stand to be at his mercy anymore. The cracks deepened further, and shards of glass began to fall to the floor. Stop! I can't let you do this, I yelled, grabbing the mirror frame with both hands. This is what I want. Lynx will not suffer me to live after betraying him, said the image in the mirror, looking at me. But why are you trying to help us? Will that be your final question, Densetsu? Something in its voice felt like the trace of a smile. Very well. The truth is, But just then, the mirror finally split from top to bottom. The image's lips moved gently, but no words came out. No words came. I tried to scream, but I could do little more than whimper. Damn. Sad. I took a shard of glass from the floor and gripped it tightly in my hand. Densetsu? Behind me, Kid was softly calling my name. I gave a slight nod and slowly turned around. Let's go. As we left the room, I turned to look back one last time, my eyes coming to rest on the remains of the mirror. I'd never be able to hear her voice again. I turned again and left the room. Damn, that was sad. Suddenly, the darkness felt opaque. Something like a thick haze floated in the air in front of us, and then it took form, like someone blowing smoke into a person-shaped bottle. It was robbed with a rag shroud, and its sunken eyes glinted menacingly. It was the burning hatred that lingers even after death given form. A being driven by a hatred for all living things. A ghost. Bugger. That's out. That's us out. Kid bit her lip. There wasn't anything else she or I could do to deal with an enemy that had no physical body. A voice boomed out behind me. Magil had begun casting a spell. I jumped behind Magil. Yeah. Magil cast me a glance, continuing his incantation without missing a beat, and then grabbed me by the scruff of the neck and threw me at the ghost. What? Ah! I emitted a strangled scream of horror that I'd probably never be able to repeat again, and tried to brace myself before I crashed face first into the wall. But the impact I was expecting never came. The core of the ghost, where its face seemed to be, had more substance than the rest of it, and I didn't just slip through it like I thought I would. I oozed through it like I was stuck in some kind of goo. Ye gods, it was disgusting. More disgusting than anything I'd ever known, and it was impossibly cold. I felt like it was draining all the heat right outside of my blood, like it was draining my life force itself, in fact. I struggled to break free, but I could find no purchase in the gooey ectoplasm. The coldness became more and more intense, and soon I didn't even know what cold meant anymore. This could be it for me, I thought. I was consumed by despair. And then there was a surge of heat through the muscles of my neck, in the place where Magil had grabbed me just a moment before. At the same time, his incantation echoed in my mind, and my vision had filled with a clear blue light. Is it dead? I think it's dead. Densetsu! Oi! Densetsu! You still with us, mate? Someone was slapping me around the face. Someone who seemed to be enjoying it immensely. Kid, stop it! Damn you! I leapt to my feet, wide awake again in an instant. Mag, did you really have to use me like that? When dealing with the foes who attack the mind, it is simplest to lure them in with bait, then use their intended prey's consciousness as a conduit in order to make an assault from the astral plane. A direct magical attack would have meant a lengthy battle, a far less elegant solution, he replied, without a trace of guilt. Nice. Alright, let's keep moving. Kid gave the order to continue, seemingly completely oblivious to my brush with death. We continued onward past where the stairs and the side passage emerged into the main corridor. We found ourselves in front of some ornate double doors. We went inside. I gotta double check. Kid gently pushed the heavy doors open and peeked inside. Doesn't look like anyone's in there. It seemed to be the main hall of the manor. There was a massive table, beautiful decorations on the walls, and thick columns decorated with sculptures of birds and beasts. Fixed to the wall in the back towered a tremendous pipe organ, like a burnished black mountain. Interesting. Dozens of candles provided a dim, flickering light, sending the corners of the room dancing in and out of shadow. Several enormous portraits glowered down from high on the wall. Were these members of Lynx's family? I was busy staring at a painting depicting a young husband and wife when I realized that their eyes had turned to look right at me. Okay, they hadn't. Don't worry. This isn't about to turn into some dumb ghost story. It just looked that way because of the way the flickering light of the candles reflected against the glossy oil paintings. Obviously. This place gives me the creeps, and get a load of all those ugly mugs. There's nothing for us here. Let's look somewhere else. Neither Magil nor I had any objections. Really? We left the hall and returned to the corridor. Oh, I guess we weren't supposed to be here. Continuing on down the corridor, we come across a rather sturdy looking door on our left. Okay, this is the one we're supposed to use the key with, right? A little further on stood a stairway leading upward. Well, this door is clearly meant to keep something safe. This should do it. Kid slipped the key we'd found into the lock. Lines of magical light flashed across the surface of the door and vanished as various magical barriers were dispelled. There we go. Alright. Up, down, left, right, blue, red, green. Every color under the sun, and then all was quiet, and the darkness of the room, the darkness of the manor returned. Right. We're in. Oh boy, this is gonna be creepy. With a creak, the heavy door gently swung open. As soon as I saw what was inside, I gave a gasp. Kid stepped inside. Whoa! We've hit the mother lode! Whoa, indeed. Out of the darkness loomed a veritable mountain of gold, silver, priceless works of art, and exquisite trinkets. Kid looked as if she were on the verge of drooling at the sight of it all. But what thief wouldn't have been? After all, this was the kind of hoard that few people would ever come across in their lifetime. The smallest fraction of this vast mound of riches would have been even the most careless spendthrift set for life. Our goal is the frozen flame. I ignore the rest. Magil spoke with an icy dedication to our mission. We had not even batted an eyelid at the sight that greeted us. He had not even batted an eyelid at the sight that greeted us. Yeah, I know. She was disappointed. Of course. But soon she set about scanning the room for the object of our hunt. Wait, is that it? Look, on the pedestal over there. I turned to see what Kid was pointing at. Oh boy. There it is! There it was. A small yet perfectly formed jewel that gave off a pale and red light. A jewel that looked like a flickering fire suspended in time. The frozen flame! Yes! Silently, Magil walked toward the pedestal. I called out, "Hurry! We don't have much time? Wait, we have to be careful." You're right. This is Lynx we're dealing with after all. It may very well be trapped. We should be on our guard. We need to be quick about this. But fine, have it your way, grumbled Kid, looking away. Magil examined the pedestal for a short while, then paused. We were wise to be cautious. Placing his left hand on the base of the pedestal, he muttered an incantation, drawing quick sigils in the air with his right hand. Some glyphs appeared on its smooth surface, and for a moment blazed brightly. There, now we can proceed. Magil calmly reached out and grabbed hold of the red jewel. Dun da da da! Densetsu and friends obtained the frozen flame. Nice. We did it! Phew! We managed to get that, to get what we came for without anything horrible happening to us. I breathed a sigh of relief and turned again to Magil. He was staring silently at the jewel in his hands. Magil, we did it! Let's get out of— Before I could finish, the frozen flame crumbled to dust. This flame was a fake. Lynx must be keeping the real one somewhere safe. What? Suddenly, a siren rang out. The room was flooded with light, and metal bars slammed down in front of the door. I turned with a gasp to see Kid frozen, an ornate crown in her hands, and a wide-eyed look of awkward shock on her face. Dun da da da! Kid and friends obtained a golden crown too! You're kidding me, right? You had to go and... You complete bonehead! I let rip with a stream of choice insults. In my head, that is. Metallic parrots in the four corners of the room suddenly came to life, flapping their wings and screeching. Rah! Thieves! Thieves! Rah! We're in trouble. These things are going nowhere, said Magil, inspecting the bars covering the door. Although to look at them, you wouldn't have thought there was anything wrong. Which way? Which way? The parrots! The parrots! To the vault! The vault! We heard voices in the distance. The manor guards were coming. Kid dived behind a pile of gold coins. Find somewhere to hide! In a panic, I looked around the room. There was a large chest sitting open wide next to a pillar. I rushed to empty it out, then plunged in head first and closed the lid. Will that work? Captain! Captain! There's no sign of anyone in the room. No sign. Strange. Peculiar. No one has ever escaped before. None have ever fled the mousetrap's clutches. None. I gently pushed up the lid of the chest and peeked through the gap. There were 5 goblins wearing suits of armor, unlocking the gate and about to make their way inside. One of the goblins looked around the room, jerking his head as he peered into the shadows. Captain, what if it actually was a mouse this time? Chef was grumbling about mouses the other day, Captain. A mouse? A rodent? A rat? Would a teeny tiny thing like that really have sprung the trap? Replied a stocky, plump-looking goblin, who must have been the captain. He didn't seem convinced. That was when I heard a strange but oddly familiar sound from a corner of the room. Squeak! Squeak! It was coming from where Kid was hiding. Oh god. That's a bad thing to do, Kid. Startled, the troop of goblins stopped and looked at each other. For a moment, none of them spoke. Eventually, the goblin captain rubbed his chin through his jowls and offered his thoughts. Mouses? I'm sure Chef was complaining about cats. Meow. Meow. That voice again. Again, silence. The goblins only looked at each other. Funny you should say that, Captain. Maybe I heard it. The way I heard it, it weren't mouses or cats. It was a hecarim. An awkward silence followed. In my mind's eye, I could see Kid racking her brains to work out what a hecarim was. I smell a rat, by which I mean a thief. Following the captain's lead, the guards reached for their weapons, and then... Hick! 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 Rank! Hick! Hick! Rank! Listen, it really is a hecarim. By heck, that proves it. The goblin guards grinned and nodded to each other. Cheeky little devil, surprised me there. Let's get out of here, boys. The goblins filled out the vault. I breathed a sigh of relief. And then they came charging back in again with a mighty roar. There's no such thing as hecarims! What? You sneaky little buggers, roared Kid, leaping out from behind the pile of gold coins. You're one to talk, thief! Brandishing their weapons menacingly, the goblins moved slowly forward, forcing Kid into a corner. I quietly eased open the lid of the coffer and slipped out. Can't leave you anywhere, can I? I muttered to myself. I knew Kid could handle herself, but I didn't fancy her odds. But I didn't fancy her odds against the whole troop of heavily armed goblins. For a moment, I wasn't sure what to do, but then I made up my mind. I had to save Kid. Right, I had to save Kid. There was no way I was going to abandon a friend in need. Even if it meant facing off against a group of 5 goblin guards, I'd find a way to come out on top. I hoped. I drew the knife from my belt and leapt into the middle of the room. Hey, snot for brainsies, over here! The goblins all turned to look at me at the same time. 10 beady, cruel little eyes, all staring daggers at me. Fool! In a hurry to die, are we? I gulped and wondered if making a run for it might have been a better plan of action after all. Ah, humans are so stupid! The goblin captain chuckled and licked his teeth. Yep, this one's got a death wish, all right. Why else would he be so stupid as to come after Lord Lynx's treasure? Ha! That's a first, being called dumb by a bloody goblin. Try acting tough when you're crying to your mom later on. Judging by Kid's response, she wasn't feeling massively threatened. And you tell her it was Kid who kicked your teeth in. So you're Kid, are you? The sneaky little slippery thief we'd heard so much about. The goblin narrowed his eyes. Lord Lynx will be thanking me from now until my retirement when I bring him your head on a silver platter. Uh-oh. The goblin captain pulled his morning star from his waist and started swinging. Oh god, here we go. You don't know who you're messing with. We ain't no ordinary goblin, sweetheart. We're Lord Lynx's elite guard. The goblins that gobble other goblins. That's right, the Gob Squad. Oh, quit shooting your mouth off and let me stick a boot in it. And with that, Kid launched into a lightning-fast spinning kick. Her boot connected with the side of a goblin's head with a crack, sending the creature tumbling to the ground. Get him, lads! The boy looks scrawny. Start with him. The goblin captain spun the heavy metal ball of his morning star in the air. Glorious gob strike! Hey! The goblins charged across the room in response to their captain's command. Oh boy, I'm in trouble. Gob strike incoming! A goblin rushed toward me, swinging his weapon overhead. I dodged. I swiftly dodged the attack. The morning star brushed past my cheek. I don't know how, but I managed to escape unscathed. I lost my balance though, and I fell clumsily to the floor. Another of the goblins hesitated for a moment, only to be run through by a spear of pure lightning conjured up by Magil. The goblin let out a blood-curdling howl as electricity coursed through its body. It clutched awkwardly at its chest where it had been struck, its face contorted with agony and horror. Haha, nice. Magil's cape fluttered, and his piercing eyes stared coldly at his victim. None who defy me shall escape my wrath. Another goblin flew down from overhead. Bombs away! With a growl, it sent its morning star swinging from above. I rolled away. I rolled across the floor, dodging the attack. But I wasn't fast enough, and the iron ball crashed straight into my back. I let out a howl as the force of the impact jutted through my body. I never felt such raw pain in my entire life. I rolled around the floor in agony. Ha ha ha! Dance for me, boy. Let me hear you sing. As I crawled on the floor, the shadow of the goblin towered over me like a black mountain. Die, brat! Its lips curled around its fangs in a leering grin, and it raised its weapon over its head. Oh no, you don't! You'll have to get through me first. Kid lashed out with a lightning-fast kick. There's more where that came from. Please, have mercy. The stricken goblin had collapsed to the floor, its eyes wide with fear. This isn't a game, Densetsu. Watch yourself, will you? My head was spinning, but I managed to take the opportunity to raise to my feet. Gob strike incoming! A goblin rushed toward me. I readied myself to parry the attack. I just about managed to push my enemy's attack aside and tried to strike back with my knife, only for the goblin to knock away my attack with a flick of its brawny arm and send me crashing to the ground. Another goblin flew down from overhead. Bombs away! With a growl, it sent its morning star. Oh, okay, I gotta jump for this one. I was better off attacking than trying for a clumsy dodge. I tackled the goblin head on, and bounced helplessly off its enormous rock-like body, smashing headfirst into the floor. The shock of the impact jolted through my body. I was finished. A red haze drifted down to fill my eyes. Kid's screams grew more and more distant as my consciousness plummeted into a bottomless darkness. Damn, did I do bad? And that was how I died. Ooh, I think I made a mistake there. Another goblin flew down from overhead. Bombs away! With a growl, it sent its morning star swinging above. I rolled away. I rolled across the floor, dodging the attack. The morning star crashed into the flagstones, sending sparks flying. That was a close shave. I made good way my escape by rolling further, clumsily putting my distance between myself and my attacker. I'm kind of reading the same stuff over. Goblin strike incoming. I ready myself. Just managed to push away the enemy's attack and tried to strike back with my knife, landing a heavy blow right into the goblin's unguarded flank. The goblin's face crumpled in agony. Yeah. Magil conjured up a black wind, which surged forth like a shearing tempest. How does a human know a spell like that? Who are you? The goblin was quickly silenced as the rushing winds tore through it, and it collapsed to the floor with a final shriek. Magil looked down at his victim with his expression unchanged. Long live Lord Lynx! Glory to the Gob Squad! With these final words, the goblin collapsed. That was the last of them. Whew. We made it. Oh my god, we actually made it. Alright. Good job. I had to just learn from this. Ha! Piece of cake, said Kid, putting a brave face on things as she wiped the sweat from her brow with her arm. And then she stopped and looked at me. Densetsu, that was pretty dumb getting the goblins to come after you like that. You think you're some hero off to save the princess? Not with those twig arms. Oh, damn. Still, you've got guts. I'll give you that. Never a bad look. She gave a gentle giggle. And then Magil stepped in. Save the chatter for later. We can't waste any more time here. The frozen flame must be somewhere else in the manor. Alright, mate. Thanks for stating the obvious. It's not my bloody fault that Lynx has to make things so bloody difficult for everyone. Kid spun on her heel and made a sulky about face for the door. Suddenly, her attention returned to the pile of defeated goblins. This bunch of drungos said they're Lynx's elite guard, right? Bet they've got some nice loot on them. With that, she stared unceremoniously, rummaging through the fallen captain's pockets. I know, I kind of read that all weird, sorry. She was like a hyena sniffing for scraps. Hello, hello! What's this? She found an odd metal plate. It resembled an open hand and was covered in runes. Ooh, for the big statue with the beard. Reckon this might open some other magic door somewhere. Well, we'll never know when it might come in handy. Either way, finders keepers. The plate vanished into Kid's pocket. Looks like there's nothing else worth taking, unless you count pocket lint in bits of string. God, it's so weird reading it like this. She rose to her feet and looked around the room. You know, it's a real shame to leave the rest of all this loot just sitting here unloved. Eh. Suppose we can come back for it whenever. Kid turned to face us and flashed a grin. All right, lads, let's get a move on. It ain't gonna be dark. Here forever. Yeah, I know. That hand-shaped plate is our only clue for now, muttered Magil, seemingly to himself. And with that, we left the vault in search of the real frozen flame. All right, everybody, that is going to be it for now. So, yeah, it's taken me some time to walk around and try to figure out what's going on. And there's a lot of reading, and my voice is dying right now. But anyways, stay tuned for more of the Radical Dreamers coming soon. In the next video, we're going to figure out where the real frozen flame is at. So, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course hit the bell notification so that way you know when I upload next time, and I'll see you later in the next video. Peace.